I think it's one of the greatest human experiments that continues to go on today is the Navy SEAL program. And it's designed around getting rid of quitters. Well, why would somebody want to do that? And why would people listening and watching today be interested in that conversation? Is because when you encounter all the obstacles in your way and you learn how not to quit, you become or you get access to the best part of yourself. Because, gosh, we quit on martial arts, we get kicked in the face, and that's enough. Like, that's the point. I'm not doing this anymore. Uh, you have problems with kids, and we quit. Like, not that you quit, but you could have backed away from being present to your daughter. That's a version of quitting. And having gone through the experience of quitting multiple times in SEAL training and in combat and in life, if you get rid of that obstacle, it's a different life. But you see the obstacle everywhere.
All right. Welcome, everybody, back to the Sean Trey Show. I'm excited that I have a really awesome guest with me today. Can you tell people who you are and a little bit about what you do?
Well, isn't that the existential question of the day?
Jeez, right?
My name is Thom Shea. I'm a retired Navy SEAL. I've been retired for about 12 years. And I have a training business and offsite event business where we train leaders to be better humans.
Isn't that what it's all about, though, at the end of the day? I mean, I've been trying to figure out how to steer my brands without being. I watched this one video and it was like talking about how self-help can be really, really self-serving, a lot of the self-help type content that goes out there. And I started trying to figure out how can I be authentic in what I do. Do you know what I did today? My daughter uh, saw a video where remember the NSYNC and Backstreet Boys and all those. There was like a dance, and she's like, "Dad, can you dance this dance with me?" I'm gonna tell you a secret, Tom. I don't know how to dance. I
Hmm.
can't. I can't dance to save my life. I studied martial arts. I did sports, but two left feet, rhythm that is just not good. But I was like, she looked at me, and she's 10. And one thought went through my head. It's not going to be very long until she's not asking me to do stuff like that with her.
Yep.
And so I said, let's do it. And so we went to her dance teacher, and her dance teacher was like, "You're going to learn this?" And I was like, "I'm going to try." But I showed up. I showed up
Yep.
and we had fun. And 2 days a row, and we showed up, and the teacher's like, "You didn't do half bad." I was like, actually, like, we're doing these moves. It reminds me of martial arts. I'm like
Mhm.
blocking outside, crossing here, blocking outside, crossing here. She's like, it is kind of like that. But at the end of the day, I think if you can be present with the people around you, if you can be, there with them, it's a good start. But there's a lot of stuff that you can do to make this world a better place. And I would love to hear from you on that about how people can be better humans and reach their full potential. Because to me, I feel like we have so many people out there. I didn't know I could dance, but now I'm dancing, and and I'm doing it with my daughter. But like, why do so many people quit long before they reach their actual limits?
Hmm. Well, like you, I think I struggle with the term, especially in retirement, the idea that the you can be categorized as self-help,
Yeah.
and it does seem from the inside and the outside very self-serving. And
Mhm.
when I had written a book to my family years ago about my combat tour, and it got categorized in self-help, even though it was a military book,
Right.
and I not to banter about it, but I don't think what I do uh, is self help. I don't brand it that way. I don't categorize it that way. And then the other question that you posed, I think we all ask it is, maybe what's the best version of myself without
Yep.
going down about 1,000 different rabbit holes on what that would look like.
Right.
Uh, but you did say something that is apropos of kind of what I bring to the table regarding how people quit on themselves. And I think that's the question that society is always asking from the beginning till now. Uh, what is available to me and why do I quit on myself? And I see that in all my trainings. I've trained not countless, but around 600 leaders across all spectrums, and we all quit too early. And then as a
Yeah.
SEAL, the whole program, maybe it's a cool place to start. I think it's one of the greatest human experiments that continues to go on today is the Navy SEAL program. And it's designed around getting rid of quitters. Well, why would somebody want to do that? And why would people listening and watching today be interested in that conversation? Is because when you encounter all the obstacles in your way and you learn how not to quit, you become or you get access to the best part of yourself.
Yeah.
Because, gosh, we quit on martial arts, we get kicked in the
Right.
face, and that's enough. Okay, that's the
Right.
point. I'm not doing this anymore. Uh, you have problems with kids, and we quit.
Yeah.
Like, not that you quit, but you could have backed away from being present to your daughter. That's a version of quitting.
Right.
And having gone through the experience of quitting multiple times in SEAL training and in combat and in life, if you get rid of that obstacle, it's a different life. And then, but you see the obstacle everywhere. So we quit often, maybe not just often, but all the time. And as a good launching point, what becomes available is you become present. And until you're present, you don't have access to any upside or any potential conversations.
Hmm. I the getting punched in the face thing is or kicked in the face is so spot on. You know, we have these dreams um, that, and it doesn't have to be getting kicked in the face. I remember, you try a sport for the first time, volleyball. I remember when I was a kid, my dad like had me play volleyball, throw the ball at, hit your arms, and you're like, that hurt. Playing football for the first time, you're running on the field like, yeah, I watch all this football, on TV, and you get tackled for the first time. That's not that fun. But what I found was, for me, what brought me the most joy was the getting back up.
Hmm.
And I think that we don't recognize the the positive feeling in the challenge. My daughter, she's just like me, bit stubborn, and she's got this piano teacher, and their relationship is adversarial to say the least. I do not understand what's happening there, but she's made my daughter better. And yet it stresses me out watching them go back and forth. Like it's just like this, and I just like she's trying to break my daughter's will to get her to see the right way. And my daughter's like, I'm not gonna break. And I just watch
Hmm.
this go back and forth, and I'm just like, wow, this is the most stressful piano lesson I've ever seen. But when I asked my daughter, one day it came to a head and I was like, are you enjoying this class? And she said something that I was like, man, I need to learn from that. She looked at me and she says, I enjoy the challenge. I look forward to the challenge every class. I was like, well, what do you mean? And she's like, yeah. I said, do you like we have two piano teachers. We have the easy one that like plays songs and music. And I said, do you like that one? She's like, not really. I said, why? It's too easy. And I think that one of the things that you know, when things are too easy, we often will be like, man, I don't see the challenge in this. We quit, but we also have to have the goals to keep going. I loved when I was doing martial arts when I was young, the belt system, because I felt like I was making progress. I felt like, black belt's really far away. But hey, that blue is right there. And if I keep working, I can get to that, you know? And so, but yet, even still, you see a lot of people failing. And then they judge themselves for failing,
Yep.
and that can lead to quitting. But you often say it's okay to fail but not okay to quit. Where do people confuse those two?
Uh, uh, I don't like the word blame, but you look at models to reference to be successful. Uh, the top models in any category will always reference the number of iterations that it takes to be good at something. Whether it's martial arts, whether it's football, whether it's shooting, whether it's sales, uh, and then whether it's your daughter learning piano or anything that she tackles,
Mhm,
uh, there are paradigms that are not taught anymore. And what I mean by
mhm,
that is perhaps in the past, things were openly taught, like it takes 10,000 iterations before the conscious effort goes away. Or, as we were saying before, it takes 10,000 iterations to be present. You have to go through 9,999 good and bad experiences to finally arrive where you're
mhm.
present with all your skill set and available to impart that in that moment. What if our kids are taught that and they go to teachers that reference that? And oddly, my wife Stacy and I are empty nest, so our kids are have flown the coop and out doing
Mhm.
fun things, and all three of them I iterated constantly. It doesn't matter how many times you fail. You
Yeah,
can fall apart. You can be frustrated. If it's less than 10,000, keep doing it. If
yeah,
after 10,000, like when you were practicing, if you've done a kick 10,000 times and you realize this isn't for me, that's when you make the decision to back away from it.
yeah,
Uh, and in any endeavor, that's the mantra that is needed. Have I done it enough times to make that decision? And inside of 5 years of doing something, you can't make the decision on it.
yeah.
Like Mondays suck. Okay, cool. Go do it anyway. Try it anyway. And you see all the influencers and people that if you look into even podcasts, in your first 5 podcasts, it's miserable.
It's miserable.
This
It's
isn't going to
bad.
work. I can't even edit. Oh my! Then the power goes out, and this goes out, and
Everything
it,
goes wrong.
yeah,
Everything goes
everything's
wrong.
wrong.
Yeah,
And then at the 10,000 iteration, you're like, well, okay, I know if the power goes out, I can call the guy back. But in the first few iterations, you fall apart. But that's what's supposed to happen, at least for human beings. I don't know how dogs work, but I mean, human beings take multiple times to be good at anything. Like even in a marriage, it takes 10,000 iterations to be present to your wife or your husband. And
mhm.
that is the way to look at how I reinforce everything is practice, 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 practice. And if you hate that word, find another word that you don't back away from.
I met this kid, and he studied at the Kodokan. Kodokan was like the judo school in Tokyo. Like it was the place that Chikuro Keno, started. It was the home of judo. And for people who don't know judo, judo is a granddaddy sport connected to jujitsu. But
Hmm.
judo is the way they train. It's brutal. Like
Hmm.
it is hardcore. But you'll find these guys that have done like Bruce Lee type thing, the guy who does 1,000 kicks, one kick 1,000 times.
Yep.
And this one kid came into the dojo, to my dojo, and he was like, we were talking, and he's like, yeah, you guys know a lot of different throws. And we're like, yeah. He's like, I'm really good at like two or three. And we're like, well, but dude, you're a black belt. Like, you only two or three? He's like, but I'll get you with those two or three
Hmm.
because I've done it. He's like, I've done
Yep.
each one 100,000, maybe a million times. And we're like, no, no, you won't. He's like, all right, let's have some fun. I'm laying there on my back, looking up at the ceiling and going, wow, that was fast. And he's
Hmm.
just like, he practiced that one thing so many times. And I asked him, was there ever a time where you wanted to quit? And he's like, every day,
Yeah.
you
Every
know,
day.
every day.
Yep.
Every day I wanted to quit. For people who don't know, doing judo, you are falling. You're not getting falling. You're getting slammed on a mat
Yep.
again and again and again. And it'd be like, oh, that looks fun. It hurts. It is fun,
And
but it
your
hurts.
shoulders get ripped out of socket every
Dude.
day. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's
Yep. Yep.
damn, and you want to quit. But there's part of you that has that feels like a string is pulling you forward. And that I don't know how to train into people, but I've seen it for so many people. It's like there's this thing, and I like they're just getting back up, and this look in the eye, and you're like, "Are you okay?" And like I had my students, are like, "Shake it off." They're like,
Yep.
"Yep, well, you go
Yep.
again." And I want to know because I don't know. And I'm gonna say this question, and like the question is meant to kind of be a baiting a little bit, but I want to kind of like give my own thing a little bit. The question is that I plan to ask is, has modern life made us mentally weaker than we realize? And I think everyone looks at some of these younger generations, and like I know these kids and they're sitting on their phones all the time, but I've actually seen some people, and there's a good group of young people that are going back to playing out in the neighborhood, going out to doing tough activities. So I think that, I don't know. But I want to ask you, has modern life, being on the phones, convenient cars, and all that, made us mentally weaker than we realize?
Hmm. Everybody knows the answer is yes. And at the same point in time, every generation looks behind it and says or
Yeah.
the generation ahead of it. So the older generation looks at the new one and says they're softer. If you look at the World War II generation and its offspring, it noticeably said, wow, y'all didn't have to go through what we had to go through, from the Depression, from when people were going across the prairie during the U.S. expansion to the West Coast. That generation nearly died, and the next generation was softer. So there's always that impression of softer in the new generation.
Hmm.
Uh, there are three things we all know. We experience it, but we don't put it into a bucket, and that uh, entitlement and earning it. In that category, if I feel I'm deserving of something without putting effort into it, I become softer. If I want a black belt, but I don't want to put 5 years into it, my mind is softer in that moment. And we have given kids that opportunity without any retribution to have that thought. I want that, but I don't want to put in the effort. The old generation would have said, put in the effort without worrying about outcome.
Yeah.
Work your ass off and then see how things play out. The other thing that with too many options, we become softer. If I have 1,000 options in front of me, I won't put any effort into any of the options. I'll try something for 2 days and that didn't work out. And then I'll try another thing for another 5 days and that didn't work out. Too many options, and that it creates a soft brain. The third one is we, uh, as parents, allow our kids to get away with too much.
Hmm.
We bail them out, and that becomes a hard problem for the kids to deal with. Is like, Dad, I this hurts. Well, you don't have to do it tomorrow.
Hmm.
We created a problem that we don't see because it hurts us to see our kid. Like, it hurt me to see my daughter go through hard training when she was like, she's now a pilot in TF-160, which is very
That's
rare
awesome.
for women to be there. It's very rare.
Yeah.
And seeing her go through was an existential problem for me. I'm like, oh my God, she's going to die,
Mm.
and I want to take that burden from her. And when you do that with your kids or your employees, you take the burden of problem solving from them, they get softer. Uh,
Mm.
and how that shows up is they don't ever stick with things long enough.
Mm.
And even though that's not necessarily your question, uh, we create soft people, and soft
Yeah.
people create hard problems that they can't
Hmm.
solve, and then it gets tough.
I go train with my daughter Muay Thai. When she was tired, and I told her to get back up, and I was like, she's like, "But I'm tired," and she's laying on the mat. I said, "Can you stand?" She says, "Yes, I can stand." I said, "Then stand. Like if you can stand up, don't just lay there,
Mhm.
because the thing is, I love the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, and like, what is he? Why do we learn to fall so that we can get back up? I
Mhm.
love that. Um, but one of the things that we don't allow in my family, and we're not perfect, but I push hard on this, is that we don't tolerate excuses. And I think for me, that came from my martial arts teacher, Dan Linder. Love the guy to pieces. And he was tough on me. There was a rule in the dojo that you can't say can't. Like the word can't was not allowed in the mat. And he said, it might be hard. I was like, I'm a small guy. In college, I was 155, and the two guys that I was training with were each 215 and 235, you
Yep.
know? And so when I'm doing all these judo throws, it was on some big guys. And there were a couple, fireman carry throws that were not easy. But I was able to do it. It meant that my technique had to be perfect, and it was because Dan held me accountable. He did not let me make excuses, and he made me step up. Why do so many leaders tolerate excuses instead of demanding results?
Uh, I stumbled on, I, you know, existentially. I want to, as a SEAL, you wanted to constantly get better. You want to encounter difficult things. You want your guy's skill set to be good, and you teach people stuff, whether it's like even martial arts. If you're the sensei, you want to teach these 8 throws this week, and you have a your mindset is, we're going to do the throws 1,000 times or whatever the case is. What For human beings, there ends up being uh, a, a a wall between success and failure is your excuses that you have. And most leaders, most teams don't look at it as succinctly as I'm going to try to describe it. Uh, for everybody watching and listening, there are 4 excuses that you will use in your life that will prevent you from being successful. There may be more, but I haven't seen anything more powerful than these 4 excuses. And they're everywhere for every human being I've ever met, even my kids, even my wife, even me. And here they are. And it's going to kick you right in the jimmy. The first, and they're not linear, one's not better than the other. Here are the 4. And the first one is a weird excuse called I forgot. Dad, I forgot to do something. And we as parents allow ourselves to use that excuse to not do something. I forgot to, you know, do my homework, so I got a B. I forgot to edit this video. I just posted it and it flopped. So the I forgot reason or excuse is a big thing that prevents success. Another one is this hurts athletically, emotionally. You do something, gosh, I want to run an ultra marathon, but at mile 20, it hurts.
Yeah.
You're right, it hurts. It really hurts. A mile 90, it's beyond pain. So if you use pain as an excuse not to execute, society will let you off the hook. Like sales hurt. If I'm trying to sell you something and you say no and you call me an asshole and all those bad things that happen, I will prevent myself from doing it because it hurts. So those 2 excuses everybody recognizes. The other excuse is I didn't get support. So you have a great idea, you talk to your wife and your kid about it, and they're like, "Hey, dad, hey, honey, that's a dumb idea. Let's not do it." Well, 5 minutes ago, you were going to execute on that idea and you didn't get support, so you won't execute. And we excuse ourselves from things because we don't know how to get support. The other one is right before you're successful at anything. I call it the 4th excuse. You will say this to yourself inside or outside, inside your head, or you'll say it out, you'll use your words to say it. And the fourth excuse is, this is fucking stupid. Right before you're successful, you will use that as an excuse.
Yeah.
Uh, the 9,998th or 99th throw, why do I want to do another one? So, and it always comes in the form of, why are we doing this? This is dumb. I've seen most successful endeavors fall apart 2 feet from the end because everybody asks why we're doing it. Do we really want to make another $1 million? We're at 9 million. Do we want to make another 1 million to make 10? Well, hey, you committed to 10 million. Get to 10 million. You committed to an A, and a B plus is okay, because to get from B plus to A, uh, it just seems stupid to do it. Uh, so it hurts. I forgot. I don't have support, and this is stupid, are the four excuses every human uses. And at the same time, society leaders allow people to have that excuse all the time. I call my boss and say, "Hey, I feel like shit today. What do you want me to do as a boss?" The good boss in me would say, uh, "You promised to be here. Be here. You promised to make those sales. I know that you have a fever. What do you want me to do? Not let you be a better version of yourself by forcing you to come to work? I know it hurts. Hey, you forgot to do that. Oh, that's okay, buddy. You forgot to do it. I know it's painful. I know your wife doesn't support this anymore. It's probably okay. Just bag on it." And
Mm,
it happens everywhere. And it's
right.
reinforced. Watch TV. It's reinforced on TV.
Yep.
This isn't the right thing to do today. It's really stupid to do this. Boy, that looks
Hmm.
painful. And we have influencers and commentaries all over the place that reinforce having an excuse not to do something that you promised to do. And if I'm
Mm.
looking to be better, I'm only going to encounter my excuses. Do I want to go to judo today? No, I really don't. Now I have to find a reason not to go. Oh, my wife doesn't want me to go. And the sensei goes, well, what do you want me to do? You want me to agree that it's a good reason not to come, or just come anyway? Why don't you bring your wife and let her participate? And so
Hmm.
all those excuses are the only thing that prevents human beings from being the best that they could possibly be. It's certainly not genetics or training, if you understand that mindset.
It was interesting because, like, Tom Brady, one of the greatest athletes ever, probably in football, you know? And when he did the combine, they specifically said not athletic,
Yeah,
you
terrible.
know? Terrible. They looked at him and they said, this guy, not athletic, not the
Yep.
person you want to build around. Everyone looked at him, but people didn't understand there was something there about Tom Brady that you couldn't see. It wasn't in the physical makeup. It was something else. It was something deeper that had been trained into him from early on. That out working, out hustling, out to prove themselves attitude, you know? And I think that if people are sitting there going, my daughter today, she's like, I'm never going to get into this one school that I want to go to because I'm not smart enough. And I said, you stop right there. I never want to hear you say that again.
Mhm.
And I said, I said, today you told me you didn't feel very well. So you canceled your private tutor. And, you know, so do you think you're going to be able to get in if you do that all the time? And she's
Mhm.
like, no. And I said, we went along with it. You told me you didn't feel well. You took that day off, but now you're saying you're not smart. I said, you know what? It's not all smart kids that get into that school. It's the kids that work hard. It's the
Mhm.
kids that study hard. It's the kids that show up. And this afternoon, after she called me, she pulled me aside and she's like, Dad, I'm feeling better and I want to show up. I want my classes. And I said, well, that's a choice that you made though this morning. They can't come today,
Mhm.
but tomorrow you're going to have the opportunity to show up again. And then I want to see what you do. And it was interesting because she was avoiding something hard. And that was it. And she was lying to herself. Like, I don't feel so good. I've got this. I said, if you woke up, if you get going, you took a quick shower, you'd feel better, you know? But I want to ask you this because I saw it with my daughter. But what's the biggest thing? What's the biggest lie people tell themselves when they're avoiding hard things? Because we all do it, you know?
Well, excuses and lies are twins. One's a bad word to lie to yourself, or to have an excuse is a good phrase to people don't want to admit that they lie.
Mhm.
Uh, the lie is that how you feel matters. It's a lie. Nothing feels great. Delivering a baby is not a good feeling. Emotionally, hormonally, they they would rather die. If you I don't know if you watched your wife deliver. It's a terrible experience to watch. And the lie is that how I feel matters.
Yeah.
Uh, Not that referencing SEAL training is cool, but it's how I kind of grew up. Everything hurts, and how you feel about it, leading into it, during it, and after makes no difference. Did you actually go do it and be present when you were there? Rarely does that even happen. Uh, Using that lie reference, it's a cool way to reference this conversation. Each SEAL class starts out with maybe around 200 people. Mine started out with 111. My son's in training now, and they started out with 400. So big class. The threat of bad things happening make you lie to yourself. So the instructor staff threatens, "You're all going to die today. You're probably going to drown. We're going to kill you." All those mental threats happen. And then the lie that you tell yourself is, "I'm not ready. I don't feel like I'm prepared. I'm sick. My legs hurt." And it's a lie that you're telling yourself. Whatever you're telling yourself in your head and not doing is a lie,
Yeah.
if you understand that. So if I say I'm not doing, I say I can't do something, and I'm not even trying it, then that's how a lie is referenced.
Hmm.
And in the middle of anything that you're doing, any human being, what you're telling yourself about it is always a lie. Is this good or bad? Whatever you're learning, if you're selling something, if you're negotiating a big $1 million contract, if you're trying to get a date, what you're telling yourself about that girl is a lie.
Yeah.
What you're doing with her, what you're doing in that contract negotiation isn't a lie because it shows up on the planet.
Yeah.
It's hard to reference that well in a conversation. So whatever you're going through inside of your head has no, it's not real, but everybody thinks that it is. How I feel
Hmm.
about you, how I feel about sitting in my office, how I feel about anything is 100% not relevant and a lie. You see women look at themselves in the mirror, they call themselves fat. Honey, you're 6% body fat. I don't know
Right.
how you're referencing this. And you look pretty. So the lie that they're telling themselves, when they start believing it, becomes the actions that they're not taking. It's a weird reference. If you believe what you're saying to yourself, you won't act.
Hmm.
The opposite of that is just go do it. To your
Right.
daughter, I know it's a bad day. Things didn't align. You could feel bad. You're late. You didn't study. Take the test anyway.
Yeah.
Don't put it off.
Hmm.
When you start doing that, you start getting more, as you said earlier, present. So I
Hmm.
showed up. I'm not 100% ready, but I'm here. And if I'm here, I have more access to being available to what goes on than not showing up. Like
Yeah.
anything times zero is zero. So if you're not there, you have no availability to be successful at anything.
Hmm.
I know that's a weird roundabout way to answer the question, but
No, it's
anybody
great.
can show up and nobody does.
Hmm. And I think part of the reason is that peaceful people are chasing comfort. They're
Yes,
trying to get
100%.
they're trying to just relax
Yep,
when they should be tracing growth. It's
yep.
interesting because tonight I got into the gym, and to grow, you have to experience discomfort.
Mhm.
Lifting weights is causing micro tears in your muscle that your body then goes to heal. And when it
Mhm.
heals it, it says, we need more strength here. Let's make this bigger. But if you're not tearing it, you're not causing that discomfort, you will not grow, you know?
If anybody can wrap their head around that and make sense of it, you win. What you just said is the winning formula for everything. But I reference go towards the discomfort just because of my background. Uh, the negative way of saying that is the more you don't do things that are discomforting, the harder your life is going to be. So if it's uncomfortable to go work out and I don't work out, your physical health will diminish over time.
Hmm.
Probably not won't take that long. It's very bad to not be physical for human beings, but it's
Hmm.
comfortable eating chips and watching TV. It's very physically comfortable to do that. If you do that for every day for a month, you can't do anything. So the chasing of comfort leads to a level of discomfort over time. If I chase discomfort, I end up being very comfortable over time, which is most people don't understand that. If you go to the gym a lot, eventually going to the gym is comforting. My body feels better, it repairs better, I look better, my health is better. Uh, go towards the pain and the difficult challenges, and they become very comforting over time.
Hmm.
If you avoid pain and discomfort and challenging situations, everything is discomforting over time. If it, it's a terrible reference, but it's true.
You can have the discomfort of getting out and running cardio and doing cardio every day by running, or you can have the discomfort of needing a quintuple bypass when you're at what age,
Yep.
If you're not either way, you're going to have some discomfort. So you might as well go at it early
Yep.
and go down the direction of the best version of you, the healthiest version of
Yep.
you, besides because you're going to have the discomfort later on because you tried to take it easy and relax and have things be
Yep.
peaceful and not have be stressed. But you know what? That stress is the thing that's going to make you grow and get healthier and feel
Yep.
better. So you might need to think about that.
Yep. Yep.
I want to ask you one more question. If someone feels overwhelmed by their chaos in their life today, what should they do? Where
Mm.
should they start to make a change in their life?
Uh, we're faced with multiple options on a day to day basis, which I call chaos. And categorically, I look at human life in five areas. Your health, your physical body is one aspect of every human has that. The other aspect is the pursuit of what you value, call that work or wealth. The third aspect is intellectual capacity. The fourth one is relational capacity. And the fifth one is spirituality. However, you want to define those further, there are five categories of every human being. In each of those categories, there's a million things to look at. There's a million efforts. Judo is one effort in the physical capacity. There's
Hmm.
football, there's ultramarathon running, there's mountain biking, there's ballet. There's 1,000 things as options in health. There's 1,000 jobs on the planet. There's 1,000 things to learn. There's 1,000 women to be involved in with. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? There's 1,000 reference to religion and spirituality. Uh, you have to break chaos, and we got taught this in the SEAL teams, which I think is a cool conversation. Uh, if you look at 1,000 things, you got to find three that you can reference. And the human body or the human brain can't do more than three things very well.
Mm.
It can do three. If it goes to four, it can't do the three. If it goes to 1,000, it won't do anything. Like if I'm trying to do 1,000 things, I'm not doing anything. But how do you break things down into threes in all those five categories? I look at and I attempted to write a book called Three Simple Things, referencing this. Uh, Here's how you break it down. Uh, I break it down into an offensive thing that I can do, which is a new thing that I can do. A defensive thing is which is the things that I'm already good at doing. I'll use judo as a reference eventually. And then a strategic thing. So today in the dojo, what's a new opportunity for me to do? A new throw, a new randori that we're going to do, a new mat work, whatever. Something that I'm going to pick up today that I haven't picked up. What's an old thing that I'm going to do? I'm really good at a uchimata, so I'm going to practice that today. Uh, Strategy is, where is all this leading? Is it letting me be more flexible? Am I getting closer to my black belt? Am I getting closer to be a sensei? Or where is this taking me in the future? So the two tactics are learn something new, get better at a skill, and then where is this leading me? Uh, I can deal with that on a day-to-day basis. So I need to work out, I need to stretch, and I need to hydrate. If you can divide, I can, anybody can do those three things. But if I look at, I have to run 100 miles, I have to, you know, help my kids, I have to do that, have to do that. Once you get past three, you're screwed and then you can't execute on anything. So breaking things in a complex environment, chaotic environment, down to simplicity that I can take action on is the greatest human endeavor that you could do. There's 1,000 things to do today, Sean. What are the three things that we can commit to doing? And do
Mhm.
those first before you encounter all the other 50,000 things that are in front of you.
Right.
That's what great leaders do anyway. We have a million things to do. Sean, this is what I would like you to do today. Or you tell me the three things that I can count on you to do. And your daughter, Dad, I have 15 things to do today. Tell me three that you're going to do for sure. And
Mhm.
that's the greatest thing to do in a chaotic environment is not pay attention to everything. Pay attention to the three things right in front of me that I can actually do and make it simple to do. So that's how I reference it. And it works 100% of the time.
That's awesome. Tom, where can people go and find out more about you and what you do?
Well, I have a cool website. I'm Thom Shea, ThomShea, and I've gotten off social media because my business does better if I'm not in the public sector. I have no idea why, but we do offsite events, and you'll see that on the events page. And I train 10 leaders a year through a long process of making complex things simple.